Hello guys and welcome back to more Aquile on the False Nines YouTube channel. We're going to wrap up, we've wrapped up Season 1 with Lazio. Today's just going to be a bit of a recap of the past season. No live commentary today. This is just going to be a review of the 2014-2015 season and a look ahead to what's going to be happening in the 2015-2016 season. So, going to our schedule, we're going to go back to the previous season. So here we go. So let's just have a look. So, of course, we had the pre-season friendlies, which aren't on here, are they? So yeah. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to those. So just look at the other competitions first of all. So the Coppa Italia first of all. We reached the quarter-final, which was, I think, what was expected of us. We won. We beat Ternana and Catania and Fiorentina, but unfortunately we came a cropper against Juventus in the quarterfinals. And Juventus, did they go on to win it or not? No, Roma actually beat them in the final. No, I don't want to go on rules. Let's go, I don't know, stages maybe? I think stages won't. Yeah, no, matches. So yeah, so Roma beat them in the final. Juventus actually had an early lead. Llorente scored in the second minute, but Roma had a penalty, and then Iturbe scored in the late in the second half to give Roma the Coppa Italia. That was the only other competition that we were in. Yeah, because we have qualified for the Europa League this year. Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to because it wasn't actually confirmed after all the games. I think it depended on who was going to win the Coppa Italia, where we would be in the Europa League. I think if Juventus had won, we would have been in the third qualifying round, but we will actually start from the group stages for this season, so that's good. Let's have a look at Serie A from last season then. So let's have a look at some of our games. So we started off with the defeat against Cesena, who I believe got relegated as well. So I thought, yeah, I was starting to think maybe this isn't going to go as well as I would have thought. We then won the next four on the trot before losing to Inter Milan, who finished second in the league. A couple of big draws there against Juventus and Napoli, who also finished. Well, Juventus won the whole thing with time to spare. Napoli, I think, finished in third, if I remember. Beat Cagliari, and then we lost two on the trot. A draw, a win, a loss, a couple of draws. So some fairly inconsistent results. We had a good run in January, late January, and in February. We did not lose in February. But we were unbeaten in, I think, 7 league games. Lost another 2 on the trot. That was against Juventus and Napoli. A 3-4 defeat against Napoli. It was a good match, though. Unbeaten in the next 5 before losing 3-0 to Roma at, well, I say at home, but we share a stadium. And then our last 5 games, we were unbeaten. And we finished the season with a 1-1 draw in Palermo. So looking at how the table finished, so as we said, Team Cup expected to reach the quarter final, and we did. So having a look at Serie A for last season, so as I said, we finished in 6th place, 5 points ahead of Sampdoria, so a fairly comfortable finish in terms of who's behind us. Cesena did not actually get relegated, they stayed up. Didn't think they had or not, couldn't remember. We were only 1 point behind Roma, so we were close to 5th place, and I think that draw at the end could have given us 5th place, but never mind, we still qualified for Europe. Inter Milan came 3rd, Inter Milan came 4th, AC came 3rd, Juventus were runners up. Juventus won, Napoli runners up. So Juventus won it by 12 points, so I think they'd won with a couple of games to spare. And the relegated sides were Genoa, Verona, and Atalanta. Just going to see who came up from Serie B, from the second league. Perugia won Serie B by 4 points. Avellino came second on 72 points. And Catania, who were finished 8th, are the third promoted team. Now, why is that? Top 3 teams win promotion to Serie A if more than 9 points separate 3rd and 4th. Oh, so it's promotion playoffs, okay. So, if fewer than 15 points separate 3rd and 8th. Did that happen? 11. It was 11 points. So, those 6 teams were in the playoffs. This is really odd. I've never seen... It's really strange. So who was in the playoffs then? I have no idea. I don't know how they work. So how there's 6? So do the 6 teams all play each other then? I don't know how it works. I have no idea. Never mind. Not gonna. Here we go. Playoffs. I have no idea. Oh goodness sake, this is mad. This is crazy. I don't know what's happened. I don't really understand the Serie B playoffs. I'll have to look into it a bit more because there are 6 teams, so I'm not quite sure who plays who. It's confusing. So who were the teams that came up anyway? I didn't even look. Perugia, Avellino and Catania. Okay. That's alright then. Yeah, that's fine. Not going to have a look at any of the other leagues. I'm not too bothered about them. So we're going to enter the Europa League at the group stage, which is really, really good. Hopefully we can progress in that. Hopefully we can get a bit further in the Coppa Italia. Let's now have a look at our fixtures for the next season. So, pre-season we've got 6 friendlies. We're going to start off with a friendly at home against Bayern Munich, who won the Champions League. They beat Paris Saint-Germain in the final. Juventus were knocked out in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They were on course to win a quadruple, but they only finished with 2 trophies. One of them was the Supercoppa, and the other one, of course, was Serie A. Roma beat them to the Coppa Italia, and as I just said, Bayern Munich won the Champions League. The Europa League was won by Inter Milan as well, so they qualify for the Champions League. I'm not quite sure whereabouts they qualify for that. I believe it's the 3rd qualifying round. Let me just see. Inter. Okay, it's not going to do that, is it? Oh, for goodness sake, come on. Inter, there they are. So where do they finish? So they will actually enter at the group stages, I suppose, because they've got a better seeding. I'm not quite sure how that works. So yeah, that's that. So and we've got other friendlies: Lyon and Leicester. Salernitana are our feeder club, Alcoyano and Varese. Going to start off Serie A with a trip to Juventus. That's going to be tough. And then we have Inter straight after that. So 2 huge games to start off the new season. That's pretty crazy. And then that happens again because the fixtures just repeat themselves in Italy. That's pretty insane. And then of course we have the so we're going to enter the Team Cup at the first round instead of, I think we entered the 2nd qualifying round last time. So going to start there instead. And then of course we have the Europa League group stages. So that's good. I think we did well last season. Really pleased about it. Okay, so let's have a look at our... Well, let's see our squad. Don't want to be on contract. I've renewed some contracts. Some people's contracts have expired. So there are a fair few players whose contract will be running out. Closer is out of contract next season. I signed a 1-year extension for him, and I also did the same for Mauri as well. But they're fairly old, so I'm going to try and keep them until they retire. Or unless they... Well, Closer's performances weren't great at the close of last season, so I might not renew his contract. He's now 37, so it's possible that he will retire fully. We'll see. And the Mauri, I think, is 35. He's 35, yeah. So we'll see. You know, even Mauri's performances at the end of last season weren't great. Looking at the rest of our team, though, so let's just have a look. So might be areas that need strengthening. As you can see, I've already bought someone for this season. Vasco Regini, a left back. He's only 24, so I thought this was a pretty good purchase. I bought him for, how much did I buy him for? 2.5 million. So looking at his report, potential to be a quality player. I did have a few players in mind to sign as left backs. I looked at Pablo Armero, who was on loan at AC from Udinese, but he wanted about 60 grand a week. So he sort of priced himself out of a move. So I decided against that. I looked at Nacho Monreal as well, but this guy was just rated a bit better. And of course he has more time because Monreal I think was 29. I was looking at Monreal in January and I did actually go to sign him on loan until the rest of the season. But unfortunately he picked up a hamstring injury and I couldn't sign him. So that didn't happen and I got Aligi on loan, who never actually played, the Macedonian. He's now gone back to his former club. So Virginie, he's a Sunderland defender and he sucks. Regini, so he's a left back. He can also play a bit further up. He can play as a wing back, and he can play at left midfield if he needs to as well. He's accomplished in that role, so that's good. That's the only signing we made so far. I do want to make more though. I do want another right-sided midfielder, because Candreva has had some really good games this season, but some games he just hasn't done well. And I'd like to have a bit of backup for him. Strikers, I think we're fine. We've got Djordjevic and Klose, even though Klose's coming to the end of his career. Kozak, who re-signed from Villa in the January window. We also have Tunkara, who spent half of last season on loan. Didn't do too good out there, but hopefully he can do better. He's going to be playing in the under-20s for a while. And then if he does perform well, then I might call him up to the senior team. So let's have a look at so last season's transfers. Let's just see them. So Antonelli, of course, we bought him left back. He was the only signing we made in the summer window. Signed for 2.8 million. He had some very good games. Looking at his history, so average rating is 6.96, which is good. Didn't get any goals, but he did set a couple up as a left back, and he did get a man of the match award. So he didn't do too badly. Zlatko Junizovic did not play a lot of games, to be honest. I signed him in the January window. Well, actually, I signed him late in the summer window, too late. And I had to wait until January for him to actually come to the club. He only played 9 games, 5 of those from the bench. And he didn't do too well. And he was asking at the end of the season about first-team football. But he just needs to be patient. And if he doesn't perform, then he won't be playing. It's simple as that. Other ones, so Libor Kozak, who we re-signed from Villa. So he started 6 games and he came off the bench 10 times. Got 4 goals in that time. I think a couple of them were from the bench. Again, he didn't do fantastic, but he got a few goals. So hopefully he can find his feet again this season on his second spell at the club. So we'll see what happens there. Signed him for a little over half what we sold him for at the start. And then the guy we just bought, of course. I have had offers for other people. So Candreva has contracted interest from Spurs. They have made an offer for him and they tried to offer Stambouli in return. As for Cavanda, he was being targeted by Cagliari, and Felipe Anderson is being targeted by Fiorentina and by Milan. So, my players are sparking some interest, but I want to try and keep as many as I can. If not, I want ludicrous fees for them, because as you can see, we don't have a great deal of transfer budget. Only 7 million, which isn't a lot. We have a fair bit of wages, but we'll see what happens with that. Let's just have a look at my squad then. So see who did well and who didn't. So goalkeepers. So Marchetti is he was our first choice keeper, but he's 32 and his contract comes to the end of the season. And I'm wondering whether to renew it or not. I'm sort of umming and ahhing at the moment because he's been a good player. I think he got 8 clean sheets, which isn't a lot. He conceded 34 goals in the 29 games he played. Cup games he did. Well, he played 1 cup game, but I don't think 6.8 is good. So I'm pleased with how Marquette has done. Our backup keeper or our other, we had Strakosha, who's our young goalkeeper. He didn't actually play, I don't think. Did he play any games? He didn't play any games. He's just a backup keeper, and he's actually, he's our reserve keeper really. As for Berisha, the Albanian goalkeeper, he's 26 and he played a few games. As you can see, he started 9 games, conceded 11, and got 3 clean sheets. And he did on average better than Marchetti. And he could be our first choice keeper going forward if we do decide not to renew Marquette's contract. So I'm pretty comfortable with Berisha as a backup keeper, maybe even a rotation goalkeeper. So that's okay. Okay, on to defenders. So let's just have a look at these. So Stefan de Vrij is a guy who Lazio signed at the start of last season, not the one that I signed, but who they'd already signed for $7.25 million from Feyenoord, the Dutch player. His rating's overall good, 7.06. My only issue with De Vrij is he made a lot of errors. As you can see, he committed a lot of fouls. He got 8 yellow cards, so discipline-wise he isn't great, and he makes a few mistakes as well. I think he conceded a few penalties with us. But I'm pretty comfortable with him as a first-choice defender. I think he is one of our first choice too, along with Santiago Gentiletti. He's 30 years old, and his rating, as you can see, 7.16. I think he was actually our second highest scoring player. I was going to check that. Overall stats for... Okay, it's not showing it for this season, it seems. Never mind. So, yeah, he got a lot of goals. Why are we going back here for? I don't know. Right. So, Gentiletti got a few goals for us last season. As I said, 7 goals and 2 player of the match appearances because of his goals, because they do put your rating up quite a bit if you're a defender. You will score 7+ if you score a goal as a defender. He's another player that Lazio signed before the sale started. 1.5 million from San Lorenzo, and he did very, very well as a defender. Again, a couple of errors, but De Vrij and Gentiletti, I'm pleased with those as our first choice defenders. Ilari, he is. Did we sign him or not? Where's he come from? So he's been a youth player for us, and he went on loan last season, so we do have him back. Regini is a player, of course, we just signed. Novaretti is a backup defender. Again, he scored 7+. So defensive-wise, I think we're absolutely fantastic with centre-backs. Novaretti played 10 games, and he scored a goal in one of them. Of course, the season before he started 11 games. So as a backup defender, I'm content with Novaretti. Serpieri is another backup defender. So we have a lot of centre-backs. So some of these I think will be going in this season. Lorik Kana is another centre-back who is Albanian, just like Berisha. 7.4 rating, and he's 31, so he was our first choice defender. He's been at Lazio since 2011, signed from Galatasaray. And he played 20 games and he got a goal and he got a couple of assists. So Kana again, we have some very good defenders and I will be rotating them, so that's good. Dusan Basta onto right backs now. Dusan Basta, 30 years old, 7.34 rating. He was a very good player for us last season. He did not get a goal. He started at 18 games because Cavanda really shone this season. And he got an assist in one of those games, and he rated just under 7.0. So Basta, I'm pleased with him. As for Cavanda, he's 25, the Belgian player. He's actually capped for Belgium now. He's got 6 appearances. He played 19 games, and he got a couple of assists. He rated 6.86. What did Basta rate? 7.34. So Basta did do better, 6.97 rather. So Basta did do slightly better, but I'm pleased with how those two have turned out. We have Konko as well, who's 31 years old. He didn't play as many games for us this season. Only 3. I believe there were cup games as well. No, there weren't. Okay. So yeah, he did well in those again, but Konko was a player that wasn't going to play very often because the other two were doing well. He went on loan to Lorient and he did okay over there. But Konko, I think, how long has he got left on his deal? 2016. So I'll probably be either releasing him at the end of the season or letting him go this season. Try and get some money for him, hopefully. I think that's all of them sorted out. Antonelli, as I said, the left back, 7.18. So as I said, he got a couple of assists and a player of the match. So that's good for him. On to midfielders now. Some of these haven't played as much as others. So Lulic, let's just have a quick look at Lulic, 29 years old. He got a 7.06 rating. He's a decent player, and he's started a fair few of our games, 26, so that's good. He got a couple of goals as well, Lulic, which is fantastic. Elez is a young player who didn't play very much. Alvaro Gonzalez has been a really good player this season. He's age 30, and we made 22 appearances, didn't get any goals or assists, but as a ball-winning midfielder, he did very, very well, I think. Pleased with how he has turned out. Ledesma's been one of our best players this season. 6.86 rating doesn't tell the whole story, but he had some fantastic games. He scored 3 goals and set up 7, a couple of player of the match awards, and he rated over 7, and in my opinion, he was one of our best players this season. Belia is a player that has been transfer listed. He's wanted by a few clubs, so we're going to try and sell him because we have a lot of central midfielders. Some of them won't be playing. He is one of them. He only played 8 games this season, so he won't be staying with us. Onatsi is a young player. He's only 22. I'm hoping that I can play him a bit more than I did last season, where he got 12 games. He only rated 6.5 as well, so he did well in the 2 cup games we played him in. But hopefully I can play him a bit more than I have this past season. Junizovic, the same goes for him. Cataldi's a young player. I would have liked to have played him. I don't think I did at all. I didn't. So he plays a lot in the under 20s, but he won't be able to for much longer because he is 20 years old. So Cataldi, hopefully I'll be playing him a bit this season. Antonio Candreva, 6.72, a bit less than some of our other players. 28 years old. He plays, of course, on the right midfield. I do want some backup for him this season, as I said. Candreva scored 9 goals for Lazio this past season. Why did we sign him for free? That's weird. Don't quite understand that. So he actually rated overall 7.33. It's just his last few games he didn't do very well. 9 goals, 13 assists, and 5 player of the matches awards. So yeah, along with Ledesma, I think those are our top 2 best players this season. But Anderson is probably in the third for how well he's done. 31 games, 8 goals, 6 assists, 3 player of the match awards. Rated just over 7. So I'm pleased with how young Anderson's done. He's only 22 years old, so there's a bright future for him. Edison, 29 years old. He's getting on a bit, and he's played a few games, but a 6.85 is still good. Anything above 6.7 I think is good. Well, it's above average. I'd say 6.7 is about average because that's what everyone's on when they start a game and they haven't actually done anything. He got a goal, he got an assist, he only played 13 games. So if someone does come into the market for him, then if it's a good price, then I'll sell him. Stefano Mauri had a few poor games at the end of the season. Rated 6.82, so okay. 4 goals, 2 assists, and 1 player of the match award. Parolo, box-to-box midfielder, one of the best in the game, I think. Rated only 6.91, got a couple of goals, 3 assists. Fairly solid player for us, started 24 games. Borde Keita had an injury-stricken season, but he still managed 22 games. Scored 4 goals, and he set up 2, and he did well for us. He can play out on the right, along with Candreva. He can sort of back up to Candreva, but he can also play as a striker as well. He can play as a false 9 or as a trequartista. Rozzi's a young player who didn't play. Djordjevic was our top scorer this season. He got 10 goals. He set up 5, 2 player of the match awards. Started 29 games. So I did drop him a few times, and he did have a couple of spells of injury. Miroslav Klose, 7 goals, 2 assists, 1 player of the match, 6.75 overall. So he did have some poor performances. And, at his age, he may not be at the club for much longer. Depends on if he wants to renew his contract or if he does well. And then Kozak, we've mentioned. We've got a few goals. We signed him in January. Re-signed him from Villa. So that's that. So, as for who we're going to look at recruiting next season. So goalkeepers were fine. We've got a couple of left backs. We've got Lulic who can play there as well. Hopefully, we'll see if we can get one more maybe. Like a young one. Maybe go for a decent youngster. Right backs, I think we're absolutely fine. De Vrij can play that as well. We are fine in defence, I think. We could get one more young defender, young left back if we can, but we'll see. As for midfield, I think we're absolutely set there. We've got Ledesma, we've got Onatsi, Billiet, Gonzalez, Parolo. Some of those might be going, but yeah, I'm pleased with that. We don't really have any any right or left midfielders. They're all attacking midfielders pretty much. But Kandreva can do really well on the right as a wide playmaker. And then on the left, of course, we can play Lulic. Anderson can play there as well. But if we move them up a bit to the attacking midfield, people like Anderson, Keita, and Kandreva can really play well higher up the pitch. Which is okay for if you've got a lone striker, but you don't want what is essentially a 4-2-4 all the time. We could do with it maybe a central attacking midfielder, though. We don't have one of those, really. Mauri isn't too great there. He plays better. Well, it's probably... is that the best place he can play in? Looks like it actually might be. His rating is only 2.5 stars, so he isn't even that good, to be honest. Strikers, I think we're okay for strikers. Might want to sign one more, depending on how Tinkara does, because his rating is could potentially be 4 stars, which is good. And we've got Keita, we've got Kozak, Rotzi probably isn't up to scratch just yet. So yeah, that's that. So who could we buy this season? Maybe a young left back, as I said, and I would like maybe a central attacking midfielder and another midfielder for the right. But that's about it, I think. I think that'll be all we'll need. And can we do that with 7 million? We'll see. Depends on how much we get for players that we sell. If we do sell anyone. People we sold this past season, though. Let's just have a look at these. So, Pereira and Radu were both left backs, which left us kind of in a hole with the left back situation. We released some players like Scully and Di Maria and Velasco, but Radu was one of our best players beforehand. If we look at his previous things for Lazio, he's played a lot of games for us since about 2008, and we sold him for 4 million. And I think maybe it was the wrong decision to sell him, because I think he would have been a really good, solid left back. I know Antonelli did really well, but to have them two and rotate them, that would have been fantastic. As for Pereira, he wasn't great, I don't think. 2.5 star total, and well, we only signed him in 2012, and he was more of a backup, so we got a bit of money for him, which was good. We sold him to Verona. And then, of course, Conco went on loan. Ciani left the club. And that was just about it, really. So, we'll see what happens this season. I will play through pre-season. And our first game of the season will be against Juventus in August. Hopefully, we'll have bought a few more players there. We'll have sold who we need to sell. And, hopefully we have a good pre-season. I'm going to end this off here, guys. I don't know how long I've been recording. Probably a while. We'll see. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my first season with Lazio. As I said, I'm going to continue this for 3 seasons or until we win Serie A. And then I will move on to something different. What that's going to be, I have absolutely no idea. But any suggestions I'd love, leave them in the comments. Suggestions of other saves you want me to do. Or any tactics or players you think I should sign. All of that. Anything you want, any input you want, just add it to the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.